Hello, everybody. Just let us know if you can see and hear us okay. We should be live in the groups. Natalie's away today, so I'm joined by Jonny. How are you?
Yeah, very well. Very well. Currently in New York City in Manhattan. So here for the month.
Hard life,
Uh
isn't it?
it's hard. It's hard in the city. It's a tough gig. No, yeah, it's interesting. Here for a bit of networking and decided just to stay for the month just to experience what it's like living in New York and just saying, "Oh, I lived in New York for a month," and I can tell people that what it's like. That was the goal, really. Everyone, you know, just get that experience under your belt.
So
Yeah,
I've visited New York a few times, but I imagine it's very different living there to actually just visiting.
yeah. I don't know. I guess like the hotel. If you're staying in hotels, you probably get a better service, probably a bigger room, and it's probably a little bit better. Um, you know, we're in a sort of a flats where someone would typically live. We've got used to it pretty quick, but it's obviously on the smaller side.
I was
But
going
you
to
do.
say I can see your kitchen is behind you.
That's massive in New York. Most people Most people have their kitchens next to their sink, next to their toilet,
Cooking in the bathroom.
cooking in the bathroom. So it's actually not a bad size, flat. Um, did come at a price, unfortunately, but that's the price to sort of get this experience and enjoy it. It's something I wouldn't recommend New York for a newbie digital nomad because like all your savings will just go in probably 3 months. So
Yeah, imagine. Because
yeah.
obviously, like Thailand is kind of the go-to, and that's obviously a lot cheaper than the UK, whereas New York is a lot more expensive than the UK.
Yeah, exactly. Um, I think the rent we're paying, yeah. So rent we're paying under 1,000 in Thailand, a month usually. About 800 a month is about
Mhm.
the sort of typical for a nice place. You can go even cheaper and get 300, 400 a month if you go not as nice. But here is obviously, I think it's like we're paying 4,500 for the month. So it's just it's a big jump, and it's just like, Jesus, we're only gonna do it for a month, I think, because otherwise it just eats away a little bit at, you don't save as much and it's just not as nice. But you have to
But
live, and
it's the experience, though, isn't it? That's it. Living in New York.
it's the experience. And there's the other thing as well is that I'm going to the, what's it called? The Amazon United wholesale conference, um, which is on Friday, in a couple of days actually on the 31st. But there's a dinner before as well. But people at Amazon Lit, Scott Needham, Watch Me Amazon, and some other sort of big wholesalers and big sellers are going to be there. And I always say if you can sort of meet these people and get in front of them and just have a chat, you could pick something up that could save you more than that what we've paid on rent. And that's what it's all
Yeah.
about is picking up little tips and putting yourself in front of these people and just trying to network in person, which kind of brings us to the sort of topic, right?
Of today. Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, today's topic is going to be very much about networking. I know a few people have joined. Jay's joined us, Pardeep's joined us as well. So, hi guys. If anyone else is on listening, drop us a comment as well. Yeah. So, yeah, today's topic conversation is going to be networking, and I think this is one of the most underestimated um, growth elements of a business. Just simply networking. I think it's certainly one of the biggest benefits to my business is networking with people, going out and meeting people in person. And when we're talking about in person things here, not kind of virtual, I think there's nothing wrong with virtual, but in person just has that extra level of added added zing, shall we say. I think there's when you meet somebody in person, you just get that much more out of it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. So
yeah,
like,
the way to go.
yeah, so like Tim Ferriss, he's saying now that on recent podcasts that in-person network is the new sort of cheat code to building your audience and building a really good network. That the in-person meetup is what's been left behind and is like the something that is coming back to being trendy because not as many people are doing it anymore. People are too used to staying at home and working from home and don't want to like socialize anymore. So if you can again, go to these networking events wherever they are in the world. I think that is, again, the key to growing your business to the next height, the next level. I certainly have found from networking with different sellers that I pick up a few tips to here and now that definitely save me a lot of money and really help with my business. It could be as simple as sort of learning about some sort of management technique. For example, Tom Parkinson told me about like traction methodology for managing your team. So we've implemented that, having like weekly calls and a weekly scoreboard, and implementing EOS and traction, and your business just sort of changed, and everything is just less stressful, and that's probably saved a lot of money just from having that sort of like, we used to have monthly meetings, and it was just like, why are you doing it monthly? Change that to weekly. You need to be more on it. Make sure you get all the scoreboards of the important data, and keep everyone accountable. And your results just get better and better and better by identifying those sort of things. And everything in business is quite simple. I think it's just someone telling you the simple things, and that could save you a lot of money. I don't know. You've recently had a networking experience going up to a warehouse to see Mark, where you've seen obviously I think he's top 50, he's a top 50 seller on Amazon, I believe, maybe more. What was your experience from that?
One of the biggest sellers in the country, and I think he will be the biggest seller in the country. The way he's going, it's incredible to see an operation like that and meet someone like that and just spend time talking business with them. You pick up so much. He offered me so many tips. That funny thing is I think you get very stuck in your routine and your rut, and you kind of, your business, it doesn't stagnate, but it doesn't necessarily grow. And sometimes it just needs somebody just to talk it through with you. Just going through the motions and saying, right, why are you doing this? Where's this going to go? What's your plan with this? And it really gets the cogs turning. It really gets you thinking about what's important, what you need to improve on, what you can cut out, for example, to save money. Because I think, especially when you are an entrepreneur and you're at the top of your business, you forget, there's no one really to talk to. It's a very lonely space. I think it's really important to understand it's a very lonely space. Particularly if you're struggling with something, you can't really talk to anyone about that, because probably your family don't understand, your circle of friends probably don't understand, and you don't really want to talk to your employees about it necessarily, because if you've got a problem or something isn't going well, the last thing you want to do is sort of say, oh well, this is struggling, because then your employees might run scared, or they're not, it's not their job, is it really? So I think the benefit of networking is talking, particularly this kind of networking, is talking to like-minded sellers. And so I think one of the benefits of the Hive as the community, is the networking element of that, is that you can openly discuss the challenges with other people. And there's probably 10 other people facing the same challenges, but nobody's really had anyone to talk to. And you can bring all these people together to overcome the challenges, and therefore help grow your business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think whenever I've listened to some of significant wealth, and they had always advised what you should do, like, I think the vast majority of them always say, like, network is build your network. It's the most, I would say, one of the most important things you can do in business is put yourself and surround yourself around that industry and really get involved. And I think the problem with Amazon sometimes is it's very isolating. You could have a setup with a prep center, or you could be prepping from home. You could be working from home using virtual assistants who are in the Philippines, and it can be very isolating because you have no one to actually talk shop with. You have no one to talk strategy with. And obviously networking, it gives you that, and you can discuss different ideas. And yeah, I really strongly recommend it. And the reason we're talking about networking is that there is a lot of networking events are coming up. None of it
events, yeah.
And actually, none of them actually are sponsored by us, or we're in association with. We're not making any money from it or anything like that, or trying to sponsor it. But I just want to strongly recommend that if you can make it to any of these sort of networking events and meet like-minded people, then it's highly encouraged that. But what do we have coming up, Matt? It's obviously we've got Amazon United in New York City, which is in New Jersey. Again, if you can get yourself down to New York, take a quick flight. It's happening in a few days. I can highly recommend that. I think it's like one of the first Amazon wholesale networking events that I know of. I don't know if there's been any pre-pandemic, but it's the first where there's a bunch of Amazon wholesalers. It's all dedicated to obviously wholesale relationships. So I'm kind of going in a little bit undercover, even though as one of the bigger wholesalers who works in wholesalers in the UK. It's like an American-based networking event. So I'm going a little undercover and just sort of no one really knows too much from the American audience that I'm coming. But it's going to be interesting to speak to the Americans and see what I can learn from people doing sort of higher revenue numbers and higher numbers than me, and people who've been in the game for a while. And I certainly, anyone who's in wholesale, I definitely recommend to get yourself over to New York. I just think it's well worth it. I don't know how much flights are to New York, but with points, if you fly premium economy or economy, it's actually not too bad. It's like an 8-hour flight. What else do we have? So we have after that there's a networking event in Hertfordshire as well, which we spoke about last week. So I'm gonna
16th of October, I think, isn't it?
16th of October. I think I'm in Europe. I'm going to fly back just for that networking event because I know it's important. Al Carton's going to be there, and Natalie, myself, lots of people are going to be there who, not me. I don't know why I mentioned myself in a sentence, but it's worth meeting people and getting sort of business advice and speaking shop because everyone's doing the same thing and we're on the same game. So yeah, we've got that one, and there's the one in Nottingham, which what's that called?
Yeah, there's I'm not sure on the name. There's another one again being organised in partnership with Ahmed and SAS. So I'll be attending that one. That's in Nottingham. I think that's the 28th of October. Someone said, "Can you share the links?" What I'll do is I'll put in this video. Obviously, I'll put all the in the comments. I'll go back in and put all the event links and the dates as well. So yeah, so if anyone's interested in attending them, we'll put the links to those up. Like I said, they're not. No, we're not sponsoring them, but we will be attending them. So it'd be great to meet people, and particularly members of the Hive and particularly members of the ecom community. It'd be really nice to actually meet you face to face. You feel like you know each other, like when you chat online and you message people, but you don't actually. It's different when you meet people face to face. It's a lot nicer. I'm just going to go back to what you said about the cost as well. I think a lot of people, particularly, don't go to these events because of the cost. And I do understand it can be expensive. I'm actually attending a trade show in Berlin called IFA, which is it's mainly sort of consumer technology, but there's loads of people going. To be honest, we're probably looking about £1,000 all in for that with the hotel. And that's even with points because the flights are booked up. But yes, that's a lot of money. But if I get one contact out of that who becomes a new supplier, or I can form one partnership out of that, what is that worth to my business? It could be worth millions. So if someone said to you, "Give me £1,000, I'll give you £1 million back," you'd take that chance, wouldn't you? But I wouldn't. You don't want to miss it just because it's expensive. So it's an investment, like in education, in any other element of your business. Investing in warehouse equipment, investing in networking is an investment in your business. And you just need one good connection out of a show, out of a day or two, and it could completely transform your business in a really profitable way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think clever people always say that geniuses always learn from other people's mistakes. Like they don't. People always say that you learn the most from your own mistakes, but the smarter people always just learn from other people's mistakes. So that's what you're trying to find. You'll also find when you speak to your network that other people have already fixed the issue that you're encountering. So every problem is already fixed. You just need to speak to the right person. So any issue you have in your business, someone will always have an answer. Again, it's just putting yourself in from the right person who will answer that and give you that feedback. And again, it could be as simple as packaging pricing. And we had I don't know if everyone saw the video I posted about the shredder on the channel, but we had a big issue in our warehouse where we're spending £1,000 a month on void fill. So void fill is what you stuff into a package to make sure everything just stays in and doesn't get smashed. Basically, it's to protect the product. So spending £1,000, and we're like, this is just craft paper. It's just craft paper, a little bit of paper, and we're spending this much from void fill. There's got to be another way. to save money. And then I just, went through a few, I was looking for ages, trying to reverse engineer. How do I build it myself? How do I import it from China? And I really struggled to actually figure out what kind of void fill you can do and what's the actual sustainable way of doing it. And eventually I just went with the shredder, and it's been a complete game changer. Like, it's saving us, for a £1,200 investment, we're now going to save £1,000 a month. So it's that return on investment on just, if someone just told me like a year ago, hey John, just buy a shredder. I know it's 1,200, but it's easy, quick. Someone can do it at the end of the day. You won't have to, I would have saved probably about £10,000 on packaging and recycling costs. So it's as simple as someone saying, yeah, just get a cardboard shredder, just go for it, make that move. It's worth the investment. If someone who's had that experience before and have gone through the same thing and said that we did this and saved thousands, that piece of information is thousands of pounds. So you, again, like you said, the return on investment on you paying 1,000 to go into Berlin to meet your supplier, you can meet that supplier who's going to be a 6-figure account. If you think about it, maybe you're looking for these sort of 6-figure annually accounts, right? Which is a pretty good supplier, I think. 6 figures from a supplier, the sort of medium supplier. If your margins are 10%, that's £10,000 from that supplier. And I know there's obviously other costs and stuff like that, and that's sort of not exactly how it works, but every supplier you're adding on top of your revenue, and that's growth. And you're paid for that £1,000. You've also experienced Berlin, so it's not obviously about networking. You're also experiencing the city, getting to try some bratwurst and some currywurst, and getting some Berlin beers, which are really the best thing about Germany is their beer. So and also it's also improving your own skills as well by going to these in-person events. I think it's good for your growth as well, in terms of getting used to approaching people in person, going and speaking to the moderators and the hosts and different panelists and stuff like that, and really just trying to that's more of a networking, just really trying to get yourself in there and put try and find like-minded people. I think building those skills is also super important as well.
Yeah. Again, even if it's just because a couple of our existing suppliers are already there. I mean, one of my aims is to, when I always say this, whenever I start with a supplier, I always meet them face to face. So it's good to reaffirm relationships. If you've got suppliers that happen to be going to a trade show, are you there? Yeah, let's meet up. Let's meet face to face. Let's grab a drink. Let's grab some food. And you really strengthen that relationship, because particularly in this space, particularly in the world I do in sort of liquidations, it's very much about being first come, first served, and people sell to people they like. It's the truth. Is that people, if you're difficult to deal with, they don't know you, then you're not going to get the first offer on the best stock. Again, back to what you said about making profit. If I can be the first in line on a particular deal, then that one deal could make me 100 grand maybe on the high side. So just by going, having a few drinks with somebody, getting to know them face to face, talking through your business, talking through what you do, what you're looking for, the supplier may be able to understand it. And also, I've had suppliers refer me to other suppliers. They go, oh, well, I know so-and-so, he does this. So would you like to connect with him? And you can see how you can really expand your network so that you have a range of suppliers offering you a range of different stock, different prices. And it just really strengthens your overall business. I like VAs. I keep saying this. I like VAs for sourcing, but in terms of the business relationship, that should always be managed by yourself or somebody very high in your business, because nurturing that relationship with a few exclusive suppliers is truly the way to succeed in Amazon. I think is to be close with, say, 5 or 6 suppliers and work really, really closely with them, get the best deals, first access to the stock, get on the Christmas card list. That is where you're going to really do well in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And self-admittedly, that's something that over the past few months we're really focusing on. Previously, I think there's always different tiers, right? There's the lowest tier is like email, right? Trying to build a relationship through email. And then there's obviously the mid tier, which is sort of on the phone, which on the phone is actually pretty good. I'm gonna be honest, you need to call up these suppliers and speak to them on the phone. For one, it's quicker. If you send an email, they might not get back for tomorrow, but you can simply call up a supplier. Say you've found a really good product, you can call them up, and in 5 minutes you might be able to get a 10% discount, and that saves you £100. So it's like that return on that relationship is, and then calling up is well worth focusing on. And then yeah, the first tier is obviously in-person meetup, and as soon as you get that in-person meetup, there's that you have this bond, I guess, you've built from life, where you're not just a voice, or not just a text on the screen. I think it changes things. It changes the dynamic when you've met that person in person. They're less likely to start working with you because you've built up that sort of. It's just different, right? In person, it's just completely different. I think
Yeah.
everyone now should be doing as much in person networking as possible. Let's hope COVID doesn't come back, because it's. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on in the news. I don't know if that's just conspiracy
It's
people,
just
but
fear mongering, isn't it? It makes good news, but I think it's really important. You know, I was always a face to face person. I've been in this business about 10 years, and I was always very much a drive and meet people. That was always my thing. I would always go out of my way to meet people, which is partly why I did retail arbitrage, because it meant I could like tag in a supplier visit with the retail side, so that worked really well. And then COVID came along, and then everyone jumped on Zoom, and everyone thought, "Oh, this is amazing! I can get so much more done in a day." But I think the novelty wore off pretty quickly. I just feel it's not, you don't engage with the person in the same way. You don't become friends with them, I don't think, in the same way over Zoom as you do when you actually meet them face to face. And I just don't think you have as much opportunity for discussion. I feel that Zoom meetings are generally very formal and very efficient, which is good, you know, but you don't ever get that kind of natural conversation that you would do by going for a drink or going for food, where you just talk about things. And that is where I think the spark with the relationship can really blossom, and that's where you can really get into connections. And also, you know, if a supplier might name drop other suppliers that you've not heard of, or if there's somebody, a brand you're trying to get into, well, they might be at the show and you've never been, you've emailed them, you've been ignored, you phoned them, you've not got through. Well, it's really hard to ignore them when you sat next to them in a bar. You know, you can make that effort. If you've got a brand particularly trying to get into, or, you know, somebody you really want to speak to, just find them in the bar and go and sit down and have a conversation with them. And it can really break down those barriers if you're trying to get in with a particular wholesaler or brand.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think if you're in a category and there's a event exhibition coming up, which is within your category, you should have a very good reason not to go, because that's the sort of thing that's going to really change your business. And again, like we said, you could get that discount. Maybe it's an existing supplier that you said that you speak to, where you can speak, look, I'm really enjoying this, but I want better prices, and etc. etc. There's always another tier of pricing. You just got to speak to the right person and order enough stock. But it's got to be a very good reason why you don't want to show up. And I get it if it's in like Australia, that might be a little bit difficult. But I think if it's in Europe, where I think it's a quick flight away. Europe is you can go you can do a day trip to Berlin, couldn't you? Really, you can go early in the morning, come back at night. Just you should be doing that sort of thing. And I also think it's good for your mental health as well. I think it's just getting out of the house. And the problem with this Amazon business, I think, is you spend so much time behind a laptop, behind a screen, sourcing everything of an online business is all behind a screen. So if you can get yourself out of that comfort zone and go meet people, it's just game changing for your personal health and clarity, clarity and everything. And that's something again that I'm starting to learn more as I work, as I get older. Is that as everyone knows, I've talked about this before, but I sometimes work just sort of 18 hours straight behind a laptop, not really move, and just have these sessions and do that for weeks. And it was just damaging. It's not good. But just like a quick adjustment I'm doing now is that in the afternoons now I'll just go to like WeWork or a co-working space, and I'll just work from there. But at least I'd be around people. I'd have like free coffee and free kombucha on the draft and stuff like that. But again, it's just that in person, changing your environment. It's so important for us as Amazon sellers. It's just changing your environment, I think.
I think particularly for Amazon sellers, or e-commerce sellers, like you say, you have virtual assistants. So some of us have warehouses, and I like coming to my warehouse purely for the conversation element of it and bouncing ideas off people. But I think particularly if you work for yourself, you may have a team of virtual assistants. You've got a prep center. like I say, you've got no one to speak to, and you may never speak to anybody. I know Cindy said she's just said it's so nice to find a couple of people who you feel confident to share your store and your business details with. After everyone being so secretive about everything on Amazon, that's true. A lot of people are very secretive about their business, rightly so, to protect it. But it's nice if you can find a few trusted sellers. Perhaps they're in a different category to you, so they're not competing with you. That you can, maybe 3 or 4 of you, and you can just meet up maybe once a month because you live nearby, and you can just bounce ideas off each other. And it really, really helps. It helps grow your business. It helps keep you on track. I think one of the problems people have is that they see a lot of things online. There's shiny object syndrome. They jump from all different things to another. And sometimes you need people around you just to sort of keep you a bit grounded and say, well, I thought last time we spoke you were doing this. And you go, oh yeah, I really should be doing that, shouldn't I? I shouldn't be jumping on this project just yet. And it's nice to have that structure and that networking, as well as obviously just the opportunities it presents.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, just let us know in the comments, like if you have the same sort of thing where you're, working too much behind the laptop and need to sort of change that environment. Maybe you've spent too much time in the garage and with packing. But
yeah, your only friend's a UPS driver.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, to summarize, in this business, especially wholesale, again, we keep going on about it. Is at the end of the day, it's to get to. I think you can get to 7 figures not networking and doing it all email based and very automated, not much work. But if you want to get from 7 to 8 figures and grow a real big business, then that's where relationships really come to play and getting those discounts. And if you want to sell the best products and the best ranked products on Amazon, like those people who you're competing against are definitely calling up and getting pallet prices and getting the best possible price. So you won't be able to compete with them unless you're doing these sort of things and meeting these suppliers in person and go to these exhibitions and so forth. So in conclusion, yeah, just you gotta do it. Just go with it.
I think again, one of the things, like you said about just the Berlin, the travel opportunities, I think one of the nice things is that obviously you can put it on the business, so it's a business expense. You can use your points, but also I think a lot of these networking events may be sort of random places, not so much that you would ever go to. Like Berlin, it's a nice place, but it's not somewhere I think I'd ever go for a holiday. But I'd somewhere I'd fancy visiting. So it gives me that opportunity to travel as well. I've got a reason to travel. I don't feel like I'm making money, making connections, and I get to experience the city. And we're also going to Munich while we're there as well, because our flight back's from Munich. So we get to visit 2 cities that we would probably never go to. Obviously Italy, we'd all go to Italy for holidays. Spain, everyone goes to Spain, but no one probably really goes to Germany for a city break kind of thing. So it's nice to kind of have those experiences.
Germany's great for a city break. We're in Munich. Me and my partner in Munich 3 weeks ago. Really cool place.
Yeah.
Good beer. Good. What they're called. You definitely need to get the pork knuckle. The pork knuckle in Munich's really good, and the sausages, whatever they're called. Let me just think. Yeah, the Weisswurst as well. It's like the white sausage is what translates. Weisswurst. Yeah, the white sausage. It's one that comes in the casing, and you open up the casing and you eat the inside of it. But definitely get those 2 things: a pork knuckle and a white sausage.
Thanks for the tip. Yeah, that was because we can't get a flight back from Berlin because the show finishes on Tuesday and we're going on Tuesday and everyone's going on Tuesday. So we were like, right, what can we do? So we thought we've been looking at different options. So we thought we're going to get the train to Munich and fly back from Munich because there's a direct flight from Munich. So it's the benefit we get to visit 2 cities as well now, not just one, and we'll have some pork knuckle and white sausage.
You should just drive down to Germany as well. That's another option.
It's a bit big. It's a bit far.
Yeah, we did it. We drove back from Croatia last Sunday. Wait, no, a week Sunday ago. Took us like 2 days to get back to England, so it wasn't too bad.
I'm only going for 3 days, so it's probably not gonna
work. Yeah, just fly. The in France you get all the different tolls and stuff like that. It's super expensive. I definitely don't recommend. Yeah, definitely fly for sure.
I told my wife that there was a coach option that takes 32 hours. She wasn't impressed by that either.
Does it have Wi-Fi on there on the coach?
I think so.
I'm not sure about her accounting firm would be happy with using the public Wi-Fi for work. I'm not sure.
I don't think so. No.
Yeah. Cool. So yeah, anyone who's listening, hopefully see you guys at probably, I guess the most realistic one would be the UK Hertfordshire one or the UK Nottingham one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe they're both SaaS events who we're close with. We're close with Al. So I highly recommend just going to those because there's going to be some big business people. You know, Al's probably one of the biggest business owners I know, and you know he's worth speaking to, especially if you're like techie and like those sort of techie stuff. Then just meeting people like that is so good for like motivation and learning things. So hopefully see everyone there. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking there's a few other trade shows. There's the Autumn Fair for those who are in the UK. I'm just looking at the dates now.
Yeah.
That's actually this weekend as well. That's the 3rd to the 6th of September. So that's the early next week as well. It clashes with IFA for me. But if you don't want to travel too far, it's in Birmingham at the NEC. That's a really good one for sort of people starting out in wholesale because there's a lot of wholesalers there. There's a lot of service providers there, a lot of kind of general retailers there. So for anyone kind of starting out, that might be a really good little option to go to. Just get an experience of the show and meeting suppliers and things. That'd be really, really worth it. It's a very generic kind of consumer show. So there's all different sections. There's like furniture, clothes, consumer goods. I think a lot of people would benefit from, if you're trying to find packaging, a lot of packaging suppliers there. Probably warehousing. There's a few 3PL companies I've been to there. So that might be a really good one for people looking to go to as well. Hopefully for most people, Birmingham's probably within driving range for anybody in the UK, I would have thought. Unless you're sort of at the top of Scotland or Cornwall, it's probably not too far to get to.
Yeah. I think Germany's probably a good, I'm not sure if at the exhibition you're going to, but Germany's also a pretty good place for packaging as well. Because they have, I don't know why there's a lot of packaging companies that are all based in sort of Germany that I've found. A lot of packaging used to come from Ukraine, actually. That's why packaging's use has increased so much because of, and why we were struggling with that is because a lot of it came from Ukraine, and obviously they can't operate as efficiently anymore. But yeah, there's lots of different events. So yeah, I can see Cindy said drove back from Germany yesterday, had too much food and drink there. The wise worst, however you pronounce it, was on the menu. Yeah, that's really, really good. Yeah, just the beer is amazing there. The thing about Germany, it's all the beers is like, depending where you are, it's a different beer because it's all, you don't get the sort of commercialized beer there. You don't get like the Kronenbergers and the Peronis and the Fosters. You always get the local beer, which is sort of usually government owned, because obviously Germany is a sort of monopoly in terms of the government own everything. But every place, like region you go in Germany, would all have their own sort of beer. So it's definitely a cool place to go to try the local beer. If you can get past the sort of moral reasons of governments and that communist sort of country. But yeah, whatever. I'm not going to get into that.
Too political.
They're not getting too political. Germans had a party, went to a classic card show. It was great food, beer, and music. Yeah. Sometimes they know how to party. They're some of them. Depends where you go. I've spent a lot of time in Germany, so if you guys share these events in the comments or group, yeah, so we'll definitely start sharing where we're going to, and what events are coming up that we recommend. I think for exhibitions, again, do your own research, and that's really more what category are you focusing on Amazon. Yeah. I'd recommend just looking up, okay, I'm in electronics or grocery or beauty. What are the beauty exhibitions coming up? What are the household exhibitions coming up? Doesn't matter, but you just got to be category focused and go in there with a plan. There's this e-commerce expo, this one in London too. I've never heard of that. I don't know who's hosting it. Is that a Shopify one potentially?
E-commerce expo, let's have a look.
So again, that could be that's an interesting one. Sometimes it could be, the promise
in the September. That one is.
Yeah. So that could be potentially, I don't know about Shopify focused or
It's
away
hosted
from
by
Amazon.
big commerce is hosting it, so I imagine it's very much kind of own website based. That looks like it'd be really good for those who are interested in starting their own website, looking for service providers, category management, inventory management, all that kind of stuff. That sounds like a really good place to go to.
Yeah, for sure. And then there's Autumn Fair. That's like dyslexia, okay. Some sort of dyslexia. 3rd to 6th of August, I imagine. Autumn on the mind, I think.
Yeah.
And then Cellarfest Festival as well. So yeah, it's expo season. Got to get yourself down there. And yeah, what other topics should we go into today, Matt? What was on the agenda, do you think?
I was just kind of networking. Oh, you said you messaged me about something before, didn't you?
Yeah, what's going on the Amazon world? What's everyone
Yeah.
sort of experiencing right now? How's everyone's sales? Are you having obviously August is typically the lowest month of the year, I believe.
Yeah, we've had a really good August, to be honest. It's really not been that quiet. I think the weather's helped. I think I'm sure a lot of people will agree. Last year was particularly quiet because it was baking hot in certainly July and August. If you're selling fans and paddling pools, I think you've been a bit done over this year. You've probably not done very well, but I think general merchandise has probably done quite well. I find that when the weather's particularly sunny, people go out, go to the pub, go to the beach. They're not interested in shopping online. When it's a bit grey, I think they sort of sit in a bit more and shop online because they're probably stuck with the kids, not a lot to do. So I definitely think sales this year have been a lot better over the past few months. Europe particularly has been very good for us this year. We've really found our stride with that kind of after Brexit. Last year was very experimental. This year we've kind of really found a rhythm with it, and we're getting very regular shipments in every week now. So that's really helped our sales as well, the consistency in Europe. But for me personally, I found it to be very, very, very good so far, to be honest. Touch wood, it continues. Ready before we get into Q4 when, again, I think things are going to really ramp up this year. I think this year's going to be pretty good. A lot of the doom and gloom that everyone was saying at the start of the year in January seems to have sort of not really happened. I know interest rates have gone up. That will affect people and affect spending power, but energy prices seem to be stabilizing / coming down now, so that will help a lot of people. So yes, there will be a group of people who struggle this year with energy prices and also mortgages, but overall, I think the economy is pretty strong.
Yeah. I think I can see unemployment ticking up slightly. I think the job market is changing a little bit. I can see it's ticking up. So the unemployment rate is going up in the UK for the last few months. I have noticed that. Have you been pushing FBA over the last few months? What's your sort of strategy? Have you been doing more sort of merchant fulfilled? You've been
No, we've pretty much we're going very much FBA now and MCF, multi-channel fulfillment. Raw Mail recently put the prices up for the tracked post parcels for us, and it's now actually cheaper for us to send expedited via Amazon MCF than it is to Raw Mail, and that doesn't include the fact that Amazon will pick and pack it for us and insure it for us. So it's Amazon, I think, are being very aggressive on the MCF front at the moment, and they're now doing non-branded packaging as well. So if anyone is interested in looking at that as an option, Amazon will now ship all your products, as long as they're under 50 centimeters, in non-branded packaging. So it's a genuinely viable option now. I really think that they're trying to take market share away from Raw Mail and also some of the sort of 3PL companies as well by offering these services.
Yeah, Amazon been doing that for a couple of years now, introducing sort of Amazon shipping and Amazon freight, and obviously Amazon shipping has 2-day and 3-day services that they introduced last year, which obviously was to compete with Raw Mail and take their market share. With Raw Mail's price increase, was that because you missed a quota? Was it because you had less merchant fulfilled? Or was it just a general increase?
Yeah, I think it was a general increase, but it's just ticked over now. Because we don't send that many tracked. The majority of our parcels go 48 standard, but we do offer a track service. So it was as an upsell, but it's a cheap upsell because our strategy is very much to get people onto the track service because it's less chance of loss for us, but we get them to pay for the upgrade. So we only charge them the difference between, essentially. So we try and keep it as attractive as possible from a price point. So it helps us make more profit essentially and improves the customer experience. But yeah, the price has ticked over, so it's now 440 for a track 24 parcel, Amazon's doing 430 for expedited delivery, which is not always next day, but normally next day.
It's quite a lot. 430 for next day in raw mail.
440 in raw mail, or
Jeez.
it's 438 technically, so may as well be 440 with the fuel, and 430 via expedited Amazon, and that includes the pick and pack as well, which we have to factor onto the raw mail now.
Yeah, so there's definitely been a algorithm shift recently, where they're definitely the algo right now is definitely focusing more on FBA. They're trying to push FBA. I think they want more people sending more stock to FBA. I think that's usually just means is there's a shortage or a supply. They have capacity, sorry, at the warehouses. But what I've been noticing, and other sellers have been noticing for seller fulfill Prime, it's usually showing a 2-day delivery a lot nowadays. Even with Amazon shipping themselves, Amazon shipping used to be great, where it always show next day delivery in seller fulfill Prime. So it's always a big plus. But now Amazon shipping now is showing 2-day delivery for a lot of different orders. So the sort of benefits of seller fulfill Prime is significantly diminished because you're not offering next day delivery, but you're still paying for next day delivery. And typically that was always the issue with raw mail, is that they would never show next day delivery to the customer. It'd always show 2 days. So order on Tuesday, you'll get on Thursday. So it's definitely shifting more towards FBA now. It's our merchant fulfilled business is still working well, but we're definitely getting hit with that sort of thing. Amazon seems to just be increasing prices. Another thing I've noticed, they're definitely adding little costs everywhere they can at the moment. They're already trying to like sort their margins out and trying to squeeze us as sellers, different price increases, the storage fee increase. In America, they added this seller fulfilled 25 cents per unit additional cost, which again is absolutely ridiculous. There's no actual reason for it. It's just because you're already paying a referral fee to be on that marketplace, but now they're just adding a random 25 cents fee. Obviously, we've all know about the sort of disbursements and that changing, but a lot of what Amazon are doing now is I think they're just trying to prepare. Obviously they leveraged up at 0.8% at 10 billion, 0.8% a couple of years ago, which is a lot of money, a lot of financing. But now they have to, rather than growth, the strategy now is more profitability. So they're looking to make more profit now rather than, they don't care too much about growth, because I imagine they think it's going to be pretty flat for the next couple of years. So then their focus now is all profitability. So they're just trying to squeeze as much as possible, right? It's pretty ridiculous. Yeah, I definitely notice FBA is the thing to really focus on right now. Get your stuff over to FBA. I know the majority of people here is probably FBA, but having both merchant fulfilled and FBA is ideal for a lot of people. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I think you want to maintain a mix. I think Amazon kind of ebbs and flows. Amazon, I've noticed very much their preference of the algorithm goes with the capacity in the warehouses. So when we had a few years ago, 2021, there was a big thing with the restock limits, and Amazon basically got full and they sent everything back. And then merchant fulfill got massive priority over FBA. Now it seems that Amazon has capacity, whether they've built too many warehouses or they're just trying to literally maximize profit from every square foot. Therefore, they're pushing people back to FBA. Hence why they're being more competitive with the multi-channel fulfillment rates, and they're on their offering, trying to get people to send more stuff in. I do think, I bet the interest rates has had a big impact as well, because people can't borrow as competitively anymore. So I think, whereas if you go back 2 years where you could borrow money at like 3, 4, 5%, people would just over order because it was affordable. I think now the interest rates are affecting people, that it affects profitability, because it's, if you're paying 10, 12% interest rates now, you can't buy as much stuff, because the interest rates affects the profitability of the product line. Therefore, people are being way more conservative with the cash, ordering less, sending less in. That may well have had an impact on the amount of stuff in Amazon's warehouses, and therefore they've got spare capacity. someone's just said probably charging more for storage. Yeah, Amazon's definitely I've noticed on a trajectory of profitability. I think they've basically grown for the past 30 years non-stop, and they're now looking to make as much money as possible for the shareholders rather than looking for growth. So you're going to see higher fees in storage, you're going to see higher fees on referrals, fee here, fee there for this. Certainly I've noticed that it's a lot harder to get reimbursements out of Amazon now than it used to be. It used to be pretty easy to get a reimbursement. Now it's a lot harder because obviously that directly impacts their bottom line. If they lose a piece of your stock, they're going to make you jump through every single hoop possible before they give you that money back, even if you're entitled to it. We've had a few cases recently where we've had an awful lot of work to get Amazon to reimburse us. It's taken, sort of 10, 12 messages back into where it was sort of a few years ago, you just send one message and they'd reimburse you straight away. So it's definitely moving towards that profitability type of model for Amazon.
Yeah, and I think all their sub departments as well, sub business as well, like Amazon Shipping as well. They did a general 20% increase to all seller accounts, a couple like last month. So that came to play with a lot of sellers where they've all been hit with a general across the board 20% increase. It's a big change for a lot of businesses. That's a lot of money. I really think, yeah, it's changing, and I think at the end of the day, eventually it just increases the cost, the price for the customer at the end of the day. Eventually, because eventually everyone's going to raise their prices anyway. So, that's just what happens, right? And that's what causes more inflation, right? By everyone increasing their prices, and it's always a trickle effect where eventually the customer's gonna have to pay for it. Yeah, I think we've talked about interest rates a lot, but obviously the way you see it is obviously low interest rates, high growth, high interest rates, and then slow growth, and the focus is on profitability and having very good businesses. And I think the strategy of just getting multiple loans now and going crazy on lending and a loan there, that's going to be a little bit damaging. It's very risky right now with the increased loan fees, and yeah, it's definitely tougher on the whole lending lending world.
And people, if you don't have the margins, then that is going to have a massive impact on your business. If you're paying this much money on loans and things, then you're not going to be able to afford it. Essentially, the margins, you're going to have 20-30% margins because 10-12% has been taken up by interest, whereas that was 3 or 4. So a lot of guys, particularly during the COVID, were working off huge volumes and very low margins. That business model is dead. It doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, it's a tough business. Yeah, but again, it's this stuff we can't control. So just got to keep working on your business and making it as efficient as possible. Really controlling your cash flow. I think cash flow, a focus on cash flow with all the disbursement changes is going to be very important for people on the old system. I think that just cash flow management is just so important in business, and I think it's even more important now because you can't just get easy access to lending at a cheaper price. So I think everyone's focus really should be on cash flow, especially on the old disbursement system, and sorting out that. Do you have any plans for just sort of like really ramping up your cash flow management? Because I know you're on the old disbursement system. Is that something like that's going to be a key focus in January when it all kicks in?
I think yes. I'm not sure how we're going to manage it at the moment, to be honest. I'm kind of hoping it will go away. I don't know if it will, though. I think it will come in. Yes, it's going to be a big hit in one time because obviously you've got to build up that reserve. I don't think long term it's going to have too much impact. You're just obviously going to have always have this balance out there. It's just going to be that initial hit that's going to be quite hard to manage because you're going to lose a lot of revenue in 1 or 2 weeks, and then as you build that reserve, then the cash flow will start to flow in, and you can get your disbursements again. So it's something we need to manage and keep an eye on. We run a much tighter cash flow than we ever used to at the moment because of the interest rates. We don't want to borrow any money. We don't need to borrow now because it's so expensive. A few years ago, it was very loose. It was just kind of get the stock, get the deals, just find the money later. Whereas now it's very purposeful. every penny comes in and every penny's managed, and we have very strict budgets. And a lot of our suppliers are like, we're just like, no, sorry, your deals aren't good enough anymore. The prices just don't work for us. There's too much cost. And he's trying to get across to them that the reason is that the fees are higher. Amazon's increasing the fees, and also wages have gone up massively in the past 18 months, and interest rates. So it's just trying to get across the suppliers that just because we bought this from you 2 years ago doesn't mean it works anymore.
Yep, absolutely. It's again, more important than ever is just to call up your suppliers and try and get further discounts and try and get the best rates. And it's so important now, and that trying to get 10% off your COGS it's going to make a hell of a difference, and could potentially save your business a little bit, and because everything's just getting squeezed right now, right? So you have to start squeezing your suppliers as well, and try and I feel like you can't really be as generous as before. Like previously, I'd just try and be helpful and buy everything from them, all their different product lines, but you just can't take those risks anymore. It's got to be a lot more. Our product purchasing is a lot tighter now. We're not taking as many risks. We're not taking gambles on products anymore. Everything is just like, I don't really even want to work with wholesalers anymore. I want to work with the bigger wholesaler, the bigger brands, and the direct distributors, and everything is just getting really tight now. And I don't want to, I'm really focusing on keeping every cost low as possible that we can possibly do. Matt, is there anything else? I think we can potentially round that up now.
Yeah,
I think.
I think it's been a good chat. Again, just one more thing before we go is back to the networking thing. Like you said, all the challenges I've just described. This is one of the benefits of networking. Just explain this to your suppliers. You can talk to them about it. Say, look, these are the challenges we're having. How can you help? And maybe they can offer terms. They might. This is again where having general conversations helps. You say we're having a cash flow problem. They go, well, we can offer longer terms, and then you've solved your cash flow problem. Working together, networking. If you don't make that conversation, that's not something you would ever say over email. I don't think. Maybe you would, probably wouldn't. It's more of a general conversation point. You're just chatting about business, chatting about the challenges you face, talking it through with the suppliers. It can really help create a relationship that works for both of you, because obviously they want you to succeed. Because if you don't, any supplier that screws you over once just to make a quick buck is not somebody you want to work with. You want to work with somebody who's going to keep buying and keep buying. And any good wholesaler is going to understand that. And if you can work with somebody and you can keep buying from them and they can keep selling to you, that's the relationship that everybody wants. Nobody wants to just make a few £100 once and then never see you again because they ripped you off with bad stock.
Yeah, it's identifying the best sellers and going ham on them, going back, and again those and if you can buy, some brands that want a minimum order of like 12 pallets per SKU, and like some brand we're working with now, that's their sort of minimum, and you want to focus on those and just like, well, I don't know about the 12, but like, yeah, you want to get direct to source and get the cheapest price and really like, yeah, optimize all this sort of thing. But yeah, I think on the actual exhibition front, hopefully see everyone in Hertfordshire. If you're in New York and you're from the UK, and you know me, obviously in the groups and stuff like that, then feel free to ping me a message if you're in the area, and we can have a chat in person. Yeah, if you're in New York, give me a shout if you're listening. All right.
Yeah. Cool. I won't be at the one on the 16th, but I will be the one in Nottingham at the end of the month. So hopefully see a few of you there as well.
Great. Cool. Well, thank everyone for listening. Matt, it's been good to chat.
It's been great chat.
Good
Enjoy
chat.
New York.
Yeah, I enjoy the urine and the cannabis smell and the homeless people. But yeah, apart from that, it's really, really good. Yeah, cool city.
Thanks a lot. See you next week.
Bye bye.
Yes, bye.